This tutorial examines the process of creating highly accurate 3D models of small objects, those that can fit in your hand, using cross-polarization photography and Agisoft's Metashape professional software. The photos we'll use for this tutorial were taken using a cross-polarization setup, which uses matching filters, one on the camera lens and one on a ring light, to remove glare and/or reflections from your objects in your photographs. I won't discuss the specific gear I use because A, you can find other videos about cross-polarization setups, and B, because a lot of the gear I use is no longer available to purchase. So this tutorial focuses on processing these images, which results in two sets, or chunks of images, as you orient the object in two opposite directions. This way you can have a sphere of images surrounding the object. I typically take a photo after rotating the object 15 degrees, which results in approximately 24 photos. Position the camera level with the object and then move it upwards twice, repeating the circle of photographs. This results in about 72 images for each side of the object. And remember, the goal is to get as much overlapping coverage to help with processing in Metashape Professional, which involves several steps that are repeated multiple times. So, converting a series of images into a 3D object begins by adding and aligning the first half of the photos in the software. This process matches points between photos to calculate accurate measurements of the object. This results in a preliminary region surrounding the object, which we will edit before modeling half of the object to help the software focus. We'll edit this preliminary 3D model to export masks, and then we'll repeat these steps for the second half of photos before bringing them all together, aligning the two halves, and creating the final 3D model. We'll also discuss accurately scaling the model before exporting it for use in other software. Alright, here we have Agisoft Metashape 2.2.2 version. You can see that by accessing the About Metashape. So my Metashape may look different than yours, and that's fine, of course. We can come down here to Preferences. I just prefer to have the dark mode on the theme. We do want to go ahead and make sure we have our GPU graphics card selected. Only use my graphics card. So with that, we're ready to go ahead and start adding our photos. So we're going to separate this into two chunks. Rings of photos for the top, and then the rings of photos for when we flip the artifact around. So here we have the Megalodon tooth files, which you can download in the description below. We'll go ahead and I'm hitting Control A to select all of them and clicking open. We can of course see down here, if we double click, we can see an image. Let's go ahead and begin processing this. The first step is to align the photos, and we have a couple options here that we should think about first. I always use accuracy medium or high. There's a couple things to change here. The key point limit, get it up to 50, tie point limit 10,000. Those are probably much lower when you first start the program. And here we're going to check exclude stationary tie points because we're using a stationary camera and a turntable to take these photos. If you manually or physically circled an object, then you would unclick this. And you can experiment with guided image matching and adaptive camera model fitting. I don't usually use those. I don't seem to get much benefit out of either one. So let's go ahead and click OK. I'll go ahead and pause the video or speed it up until it's complete. Okay, that took maybe 30 or 40 seconds. I'd like to get this model sort of centered in the view here, so I'm using a 3-button mouse, so 2 buttons and a scroll wheel. When you move the scroll wheel back and forth, you zoom in and out. If you double click on a point, it will center that. Left click and drag here, and we can rotate this around. So the first thing we're going to want to do is this lightly colored 3-dimensional cube or box here. This is actually called our region. We're going to want to line that up better with our object. So as you can tell, here's the tooth, here's a scale bar. I just want to sort of get it facing the camera, and we can go ahead and push the 5 on the number key to go into orthographic. If you don't have a number pad, you can also select Model View Mode Perspective Orthographic. So let's go ahead and rotate the region, and we're just gonna kind of move this around so that the cross, we can come back here into the navigation tool. If we turn around, we can see the cross is sort of behind it. Doesn't really matter where you necessarily orient that, but I find when I put the cross on the opposite side of me looking straight on, it does a pretty good job of orienting that object in three-dimensional space the way I like it. Okay, next I want to resize this region to just focus on the object. So I'm going to bring it in. Obviously I use a little white card there to offset it from the black turntable. We can click outside this box and rotate the entire view around, and we can see now that there's one more axis to scale this region on. So that's pretty good. Hit 5 to go out of orthographic and into perspective mode. And now we're ready to process this into a point cloud. Again, we're going to have some different measurements here. I'm going to go ahead and bump the quality up to high. Medium, honestly, is usually fine. I'm going to do that just because I like to have the slightly higher quality model at the end. But you'll get a really good model even using medium. We'll calculate point colors and point confidence. Go ahead and shift depth filtering to mild, and we'll talk about why calculating point confidence is important in a moment. I'll go ahead and speed up the video again until this is complete. So now we can go ahead and view the point cloud, the dense point cloud, and we can see here it's pretty dense. It's pretty good result so far. If we go ahead and click the little drop down, we can look at the confidence. This is why we included that part, and everything here that trends towards yellows and red, those are points that have a bad confidence. Removing those points will vastly improve the results of the next few steps. So we do that by going to Tools, Point Cloud, Filter by Confidence. I just usually set this to 5. If it selects too much of the results, you could go ahead and use 3 or 4. This does look like a lot, and that's fine. We're going to go ahead and delete all those points. So I'm going to drop down menu here on the selection tool and choose freeform selection and just sort of drag out a region. That'll highlight all the points. Click the delete key. Looks like we have no points left, but if we go back to Point Cloud, Filter by Confidence, and return the max to 255, they all come back. So our next step is to produce our initial model. And I'm going to go here, quality high, face count high. This will run a little long. You could do the quality medium and the face count medium, or you could do the face count medium and leave the quality high. Fiddling around with those settings will often, allow you to get a good result, a solid result in less time. I'm going to go ahead and keep high and high. I'm going to make sure to calculate vertex colors and reuse depth maps, which will allow this step to process a little faster. Remain checked, or if they're not checked for you, go ahead and check them. And then click OK. I'll go ahead and come back when it's done. Let's go ahead and look at the solid model. Make sure we're in the navigation here so we can rotate around. This looks really good. So let's go ahead. Next step is to build the texture. These are the settings I use. Most of them are the defaults. You might change the texture size. This is a good sort of middle size. Enable hole filling. If we had large holes here, that would sort of calculate mesh and texture for that. I don't like to use that. It creates, information that's not actually there. Ghosting filters, if maybe we had something in the way for part of the photos, like say this was a house and we had a branch in some of the photos, ghosting filter would sort of get rid of that on the texture. Obviously we don't have any of those issues here, so we won't use any of those. Choose these settings and click OK. Again, I'll pause the video and come back when it's complete. Okay, that's completed. So to see the texture, just drop down menu, model textured, and here we have a really good model. Now we're not going to keep all of this because obviously a part of the bottom here is obscured by the white clay. In fact, some of that white clay is even reflecting up, so we're going to cut all of that part of the model out. And the way we do that is we come up to our selection tool, make sure you've selected freeform selection, because that'll allow you to sort of drag this out and create a region that's very specific to what you want to delete. Let's go ahead and delete that. Move back to the navigation key. We probably have a little bit in the back here to delete. Yeah, So I want to make sure you get everything that's not part of the model that you want to join with the other chunk deleted. We'll go ahead and get rid of most of this scale bar as well. In fact, we just need the scale part of it. Because what we'll do is in the final model, we'll actually use this scale to assign a scale to the model, and it'll be its real world side. So the last thing to do here is you want to come down here, right click on the first photo, go to masks, go to generate masks, and you want to make sure the method is from model, operation is replacement. These should be the defaults, but you want to make sure and apply it to all images and click OK. And so what this is doing is it's basically masking every image. And that'll become important when we join this chunk with the next chunk. And you can see here by clicking on one, this area inside the mask has been defined by the model for that image. So let's go ahead and save our file now. And I'm just going to go ahead and call it Megalodon Tooth. And if this isn't a megalodon, I'm an archaeologist, not a paleontologist, so I apologize for that mistake. What we'll do now is we'll add a chunk, and we're going to start the process all over again. I'm going to work through the process. I'll just fast forward through these steps because they're the exact same as the one I used in chunk 1. Okay, now that we've completed this process, we're ready to cut out the parts of the model we don't want to use moving forward. And since we already had a scale bar on the previous one, we can actually cut out pretty much all of the bottom here. I'm just going to use the select tool here because remember this tooth was oriented the opposite direction last time. So we actually have the point of the tooth modeled really well in the other model. Or the other chunk. So here we go. We want to go ahead and import or generate masks again, model all images, click OK. And now we're ready to take these two models, which we can see here. They're not oriented to one another correctly. And we can even turn them on and they don't even show up in the same space. So let's go ahead and save the file. And I'm going to do something with this so I can show you there's an automatic way to align these chunks and then there's a manual way. So let's go ahead and save this file as Megalodon Tooth. I'm going to just underscore auto align, click save. So we can come back to this process. So our workflow here, assuming we have two good models and the photos were good and the models are good, it should align automatically. And so we're going to use a point base, fit scale, key point limit if yours is lower, set it up, accuracy of high, and generic pre-selection. Now we do have masks, and if this auto alignment doesn't work, you might try to use the masks to the key points or the type points. But I have a feeling that this will align. So let's go ahead and click OK and give it a moment to finish processing. And now that those have finished, we can see there's a T appended to both of these chunks, meaning that if we come up here and click on the show aligned chunks, those are now aligned. Double click to center it. I'm going to get in a perspective view here, but we have the two chunks perfectly aligned. You can see that better if we go into solid. We got a high detailed model with our, turn the texture back on, scale bar. So now we just go to workflow, merge chunks. We want to make sure we select both chunks. We definitely want the models. We'll take the depth maps and point clouds. We'll take everything, make sure click merge assets is here as well, and click OK. And then what that'll do is it'll bring all the assets into a new chunk, and we can do a little bit of reprocessing to make sure the final 3D model or mesh is not two meshes sort of sitting next to each other, but is one permanent mesh. So let's go ahead and turn off or deselect the show align chunks, double click this merge chunk, and we have now the merge chunk. So what we want to do is we're going to go in here, we want to redo the model portion. And I'm just going to leave everything selected as before, and we're just going to go ahead and click OK. All right, there we go. And so we can look at the new model, which we've lost some detail down here, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and redo the texture one more time. We'll leave all these settings the same. Click OK. That should just take a few moments to create a new texture. This is why creating those masks is so important. If we didn't create the masks, then it would use all of the image data, meaning the top and the bottom that are covered by clay in about half of the images, so each chunk has clay to mount or hold the tooth. That would show up and sort of lighten or mask the color in a way that would look odd. But with the masks there and applied, you can see we still have the full color of the object. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use that scale bar, and I'm going to double click just to center on it. We're going to use this to scale our model appropriately. And of course, this is something that's only available with the Pro version. We're going to right click at the corner here, add a marker, do the same in another corner. And then highlight these two markers, these 2 points, and come up here, or just right click, create scale bar, and then on the distance we want to put 0.01, and then click the update transform. And now if your model has disappeared, you can scroll around until you see it. I'm going to hit the 0 on the number pad, but again, you could just scroll in and double click on a point. The 0 on the number pad just auto centers whatever is in view. Now we can go ahead and come back to the select, and we can get rid of this altogether, including the markers. Let's come back to the workplace, click save, and now your object is fully 3D modeled. You can look at the shaded, which is the colors that are on each point. You can do the solid to really look at the geometry. You can see this is really high quality geometry. If you want to use this, you of course can just export the model. I'll just call it a Megalodon tooth. And the type, let's go ahead and select OBJ, click save, and then you'll have some different selections here you can make. I usually choose the PNG format for the texture because it's not being compressed in any way. Pretty much everything else you can leave as is. Include comment might be auto checked, but checked by default, but you can get rid of that. Click OK. I'm not going to do it now, but that would then export the model, its texture and material file, and you could use that. You could upload it to the web, you could use it to do 3D printing, you could put it in a game engine, you could do anything you want to with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this, and let's open this first file, because I'm going to show you what happens if it fails to align. So here we have our two versions. They're not well aligned at all. So what we're going to do here is we can see when we check this, they don't show up in the same space. What we're going to try to do is orient them to one another a little bit better, and then hopefully they will shift into the same space. So we need to rotate this object, and we can change our object. So we'll choose the rotate object. I just want to sort of shift this around, get it into roughly the same area there. Let's go ahead and move the object a bit, just sort of there. We can kind of shift around and kind of go back and forth here to see, and now it's sort of auto-aligned them. They're technically considered to be aligned now, but obviously they're not. So we're going to keep working, and this is what you might see sometimes when it aligns automatically. It doesn't actually work, and that's of course the trick for us. So we're just going to get these guys actually to kind of be in the same space next to each other, and they may not even be scaled to one another quite right, but that's okay. And you can see here actually they are not. So just go ahead, I use the move here to sort of get chunk 2 on the right side, chunk 1, double click chunk 1 on the left side. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to use the markers to align these manually. And what you're going to do is start with a point that you can clearly see on both. And so, you know, here we've got this, that's here, these 2 dots down here. I'm going to go ahead and click on one of those in the model that's active, add a marker, double click the other one, and then add a marker in that chunk as well. And we're just going to repeat this process again and again, and you want sort of 3 or 4 on each side of the object. And so if this was a circular object, you'd want to put 4 to 6 markers sort of around. Since this is more of a flat object, we're going to put 2 or 3 on either side. And that should be good enough to get us a nice alignment. Okay, so now that we've set a handful of markers, and if you want to see these, you can click on the reference tab down here, and you can see we have 6 points, which is good. I put 3 on each side, and as you choose the other image, you'll see the 6 points there. So let's go to Workflow, Align Chunks. I'm going to make sure both are checked, and instead of point-based, we're going to use marker-based. Click OK. And then it brings them into alignment. So come back into the reference. Now, processing this will be pretty similar to if it had auto-aligned. We're going to merge those chunks. I'm just going to go ahead and pull in all of the assets, make sure both chunks are selected, and click OK. Let's go ahead and deselect the show align chunks and just go into that merge chunk, and you're going to see it's pretty much the same as the last one. We can shift into solid, and we're going to see this is really well lined up. So we can come into the reference section and we can delete all of these control points. We just don't need them anymore. Back to the workspace, and we're just going to go ahead and create a model. All the same settings will be fine. We'll click OK. I'll go ahead and pause the video while this processes. Now we have a complete model again, and we just need to, we don't have a texture, so we'll build the texture and then go through the same processes to scale the model. Now we can see that textured model looks good, looks just like the other one. We're going to use our scale bar to create or to scale our 3D model. Just going to add 2 markers, go into reference, select those, right click, create scale bar. Distance is 0.01 because it's 1 centimeter, so 0.01. I'm going to select that, double click or press 0. Then we can go ahead and delete that scale bar and those markers just like we did before. And then we can export this model if we want to. So that's it. You've created a high quality 3D mesh and textures, so a 3D model using Metashape Professional with a set of cross-polarized images. The image set again is in the description below, so you can download the data set and follow along. Thanks for watching, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you.